When Jesus said, if you don't have a sword, buy one, we know that the sword, one of the swords that was shown to him by his disciples was one that was used by Peter to slice off the ear of one of the men that came to get Jesus. And so we know that it was really a sword. It wasn't a butter knife. He didn't stand there and hold the guy's ear and slice it off. He tried to cut the guy's head off, and he juked and dived, and he only cut his ear off. Well, that tells me that that rifle, or excuse me, not rifle, sorry. That tells me that sword is longer than a dagger, you know. And then at the same time, when Jesus is asking them, you know, if they don't have a sword to buy one, if they were carrying around a big broadsword, he wouldn't have to say, if you have one, or no, if you don't have one. He wouldn't have to say that. He'd just say, hey, that sword that's on your side. So I know that it was concealable, but I also know it was big enough to actually do some serious damage. And in looking at history, I find that there are only a couple swords that meet that fill that bill at the time, and they were both the primary service weapons for armies. One was what's called a philadius, which is a Greek short sword, which I'm kind of leaning towards they probably had, because a lot of those would have been in surplus, because they used to be part of the Hellenic Empire. You know, with Alexander the Great, you know, he conquered that whole area, and he had Grecian armies, and all those guys in Greece had philadiuses, short swords, 24 to 28 inches long, and they were heavy on the top, so you could actually slice or slash with them, or a Roman short sword. And a Roman short sword, we've probably seen the gladius. Everyone's seen a gladius. They're anywhere from 24 to 28 inches. And the reason why I mention that is that those weapons are both used for offense and defense. You would be well equipped as a soldier if you would have had that sword back then. One thing is, those swords were illegal. You could not own one unless you were a Roman citizen. But those swords could be easily concealed, and you could use them for defense, because probably the guy attacking you would have one too. And you could also use it for offense. So you could protect someone else with that sword. So the reason why I gravitate towards the AR-15 is that the AR-15 is basically the short sword of modern era. And that is, this rifle can be used to defend yourself. It's lightweight, it's easily portable. It's easily used by both men and women. It's accurate. It's just a good overall rifle that's easily controllable, and I can use it to defend my family, or I can use it to protect someone else. You know, so I can have both that defensive and offensive role, just like I think that the short sword that Jesus was talking about did.